Okay, so you've heard us say it in a number of these best TV settings videos now, right? The numbers from TV brands tell us that most people don't change many, if any, of their TV settings out of the box to get the best or most ideal image quality. And it's a real shame, especially if you're dropping big bucks on a TV, and especially if you have a 115-inch monster like this TCL QM891G that is quite frankly taller than me. Welcome back everyone, Chris Hagan here, and while we do have a few other normal sized TCL TVs available to use for this video, where's the fun in that? So as we go over the best settings for your TCL TV, we're gonna do it with 115 inches of big TV energy, and it's worth noting, if you do have a TV this large, or really even 85 inches and up in that extra big range, it's the little things that can make a significant difference because everything is just magnified on a screen of this size. The first thing to handle is turning off the TV's eco mode, or what it's labeled in this TCL model that runs Google TV as energy saving. This is something that the TV may have prompted you to do upon setup, but in case you didn't turn it off then, here's how to do it. From the home screen, press the settings button on your remote, select all settings, navigate down to system, then to power and energy, then energy saver, and make sure this is turned off. This ensures that you have complete control over TV brightness. You'll notice it tells us in the corner, if you have it turned on, you won't be able to push the brightness past 60, and even worse, adaptive brightness would be turned on, which will allow the TV to change your brightness as it sees fit to save energy. That would probably make for a less than ideal viewing experience. And speaking of adaptive brightness, let's make sure that's turned off elsewhere in the menu as well. To do that, we'll go back to the All Settings menu, head down to Display and Sound, then to Intelligent Settings, then Intelligent Picture. You'll see Adaptive Brightness, Adaptive Content, and Adaptive Color Temperature, and we want them all turned off. Otherwise, the TV would make automatic adjustments not just to brightness, but color temperature as well, based on the room's ambient light and content on the screen. So now that those automatic settings are all off, let's select the picture mode. From the home screen, press the settings button, then go down to picture, and you'll see picture mode is the first option available to us. You've got 6 options here, including game mode, and really the only one we recommend out of these options is movie for its warmer and more natural tones. Sports tends to juice things up a bit too much and make colors look unnatural. Smart HDR is a little better, but still a bit oversaturated. Obviously, we don't want low power, and vivid falls into the same category as sports, just too harsh of an image. So, movie it is. Next, you want to set the brightness of your TV to what you'd like. If you're watching during the day in a room with a lot of ambient light, maybe you want higher brightness. But if it's a darker room or you're watching at night, maybe you'd prefer to turn it down. Big TVs especially can produce a lot of light, and sometimes it's just too much. The thing to know here is you'll be watching in SDR or standard dynamic range sometimes, while at other times you may be watching in HDR, high dynamic range. From the home screen, set the brightness for SDR content by pressing the settings button on your remote, going to picture, and then brightness. From there, make the adjustments to your liking. Now for HDR, we just need to play some HDR content. This could be a show on a streaming service that has HDR programming, but if you're unsure, the easiest HDR source to find is a YouTube video. Jennifer Gala's channel is a great one for HDR content, and what I love about this TCL TV is it tells me when I'm watching in HDR by displaying the format in the corner of the screen. We can see HDR10 here. I'll go to Settings, then Picture, then Brightness, and you'll notice again at the top of this menu it tells me this is an HDR image, so I know I'm adjusting my HDR brightness. But before we move on from brightness, there's one more thing you can do to further fine-tune how bright your TCL TV gets. From that same picture menu, head down to Advanced Settings, then select Brightness Settings, and head down to Local Contrast. The menu tells us that this will adjust backlight and contrast on different areas of the screen to optimize picture performance. But when we toggle between off, low, and high, you can see significant differences. With it set to off, you have a little bit flatter of an image. When set to low, you get a little brightness and punch back. But when set to high, you get much more brightness across the board and more contrast between brighter and darker areas. If you want the absolute most out of the TV's HDR performance, set the local contrast to high and turn your brightness up to 100 if your eyes can handle that. Finally, let's talk about motion smoothing. And this really comes down to personal preference and whether or not you even notice the jarring effect it could create with different frame rates. To customize this on our TCL TV, we're gonna go back to our picture settings, down to advanced settings, then down to motion. You can have motion clarity turned off altogether if you like, or if you turn it on, you can use a pair of sliders to set your preferences for blur reduction and judder reduction. I'd say it's worth experimenting with to see what you like best for different types of content. You may find that you prefer movies and shows that are often filmed at 24 frames per second to look one way, and higher frame rate content like live programming, reality TV, and sports to look another. So now that we've got your TV's picture dialed in, let's talk about a couple of settings that can make using your TV and any external devices easier. If you're adding devices like a soundbar or Blu-ray player or gaming system, it's usually most convenient to control everything with one remote. To set that up, we're going to go back to the All Settings menu, then to Channels and Inputs, then External Inputs, then External Devices Control. Make sure HDMI control is turned on, which allows you to control compatible devices with your remote, such as soundbar or receiver volume, Blu-ray player menus, or even basic menus on your game console. You've also got a couple of in-sync options.
It's gonna be me.
No, not that in-sync, that allow devices to power on or rest in standby mode in sync with each other. So set those to your liking. And there you go. You're now set up for success with great picture quality, and if you want to make any more detailed changes, you now have a better understanding of where some of these options live and what it means to change them. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, thank you so much for supporting the channel with a like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Feel free to send this video to friends and family as well. Be sure to check out more of our how-to videos for other TV brands and just great tips in general, and we'll see you in the next video.